Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager 23. This is episode number 7. Hunter Yeni, who last time we had an incident. Incidents are part of the game this year that didn't exist. You have a lot of infrastructure incidents, but we also have staff incidents, and we had an incident between crew chief and Hunter Yeni, which required a choice, and the choice that I made has resulted in a positive outcome. So after intervening, the morale has improved. Hunter Yeni's aggression has dropped. Probably a good thing that'll make less incidents for him while we try to get him up to pace. And the affinity between the two has improved. But apparently, the only outcome for me is I have to arrange a meeting.
This weekend, we're in Belgium, in the picturesque province of Liège. Halfway through the season, it's too early to call the championship. Can teams make good before the summer break, or will they be hoping for a reset? Spa-Francorchamps is famous for its long straights and fast corners. Drag efficiency will make all the difference here as drivers zoom through the famous sequence of Eau Rouge leading up into Raidillon. But a twisty middle sector keeps things tricky down on the track.
This weekend will be taking a slightly different form.
15 long and challenging laps await the drivers in today's sprint here at Spa.
And once the lights go out here at Spa, the attention will shift to the first corner, a turn that has seen its fair share of dramatic incidents over the years.
Forget the scheduled pit stops today, it's all about racing. Here we are, the sprint around Spa-Francorchamps. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And we are racing in Belgium, the Spa-Francorchamps. This is a big race. It's a historic race. It's an amazing race. And then it's also a flawed race, as we've suffered. People have suffered. People have been lost here at Eau Rouge and Raidillon. It's a tricky track. It's somehow both among the best and among the worst. Talk of moving on. Talk of keeping it around. Hard to say which direction to go, but Yeni is already dropping off the back just a little bit here. Sargent holding his position a little bit better, but his position's not much better, just P18. But with 3 upgrades coming to the car relatively soon, they should make an impact, at least for Sargent. For Yeni, I expect him to be off the back for a while yet, but he should be improving, hopefully, rapidly. Verstappen leads the field over the line at the end of lap 1 with the 2 Ferraris behind before Perez. And this is a track that you should be settling in on definitely a little bit sooner. It's only a 15 lap sprint race here. We have opted for the mediums. Everybody else opting for the softs. Wow. Didn't expect everyone to opt for the softs. It actually suggested, pre-race suggested that I put Yeni on the hards because of how rough he is on tires. And that just didn't seem like a good option. I almost tried to bump Sargent up to the softs as I bumped Yeni up to the mediums. He definitely has some extra pace here as he's a couple seconds ahead of Zhou Guanyu, and Yeni is challenging him, but we are quickly putting ourselves in harm's way when it comes to fuel load, so we are going to have to back off. We'll continue to push the tires, especially while we are not overheating. And that is Sargent challenging Bottas. Will he get by? He does. And DeVries with a lockup in turn 8. Will he rejoin quickly? No. He rejoins in last place,
VSC.
and we have a virtual safety car, VSC, so there has been some sort of incident here.
Copy.
That's a crash. Stroll.
It's Stroll. Stroll, so many mistakes.
No.
lost the rear end either. He was still on the apex, so it's hard to say whether he was trying to get on the throttle already or if that was more a case of just losing the rear end, getting a little bit of oversteer and not being able to correct. Lower speed, that gets our fuel right real quick here. One thing to watch out for, Sonoda is all the way up in P12 right now, but it's the sprint. Nobody's going to score any points today. It does not count as a race, so we're okay on that part. And the VSC has ended. We are back to racing from P15 and now P18. So the mistake by De Vries puts him to the back of the grid and Stroll out of the race. See if we can hold or improve position as Sargent gets past somebody here. Hulkenberg with the lockup. Hulkenberg and Yini also up the grid order. So Hulkenberg down to last place. Well, that's amazing. 14th and 16th now. Sonoda all the way up to 11th, though. We really don't want him to get high enough to score points. Now, of course, that virtual safety car and those laps under VSC conditions will help everybody on the softs prolong their tire life and be able to push right through to the end. So we are going to have to kind of push continually. Yini holding a decent pace right now. He's not doing too bad in the pace department. Until he just went backwards. Did he? Oh, Sonoda! Sonoda with the lockup. Sargent's up to 13th. Sonoda drops to 15th. Yini stays 16th. Let's go ahead and start pushing on the fuel. We might as well try to do something decent result-wise today. Sargent has a bit of a gap to the two McLarens and then a much bigger gap to the front 10. So he's not really looking to do a whole lot here unless he can overtake the two McLarens and take 11th, which doesn't amount to much. Yini, meanwhile, behind Sonoda. Love the visor cam, but don't love the drastic increase in volume that you get from inside the visor cam, so we won't use it as often as I would like. Getting his deploy here.
Can use the overtake.
Sargent through Eau Rouge, Radion, and now down the long straight. Well under a second behind here, but not sure that we are going to get... Oh, we do get DRS. It looks like Piastri also got DRS. So not helping us in the overtake department. We can go full attack for this last lap.
You can increase the pace.
Copy.
A little bit of weaving going on, but challenging Sonoda. Really good to see it. Come on, let's go. Get up the inside. Make an overtake, bud. Let's go, Yini. Get in there. Love to see it. So he does complete the overtake.
And Sainz crosses the line.
Sainz is going to claim the win. Sargent looked like he had a good opportunity to proceed there. Again, has a look in the braking zone as we head into this final chicane. Are we going to do something there? No, still Sargent not aggressive at all. Pretty pitiful driving, actually, to not get that 12th position. Meanwhile, Yini,
You were P13.
definitely driver of the race for me.
On target, good job.
18 seconds behind his teammate, sure, but heck of a drive. He passed cars, he kept cars behind him.
That's P15.
Great sprint race.
Really solid job there.
Sainz wins this sprint race, by the way. Let's get into the race proper.
We've got 44 laps ahead of us here in Spa as we get ready for the Belgian Grand Prix. And there's always a sense of excitement when it comes to talking about Max Verstappen.
Starting outside the top 10 is a disappointment. Getting through the midfield will require some creative strategies.
You can hear the excitement in the crowd here at the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
All right, we are racing here in the full race proper. Just 44 laps, but instead of doing one stopper, I think we are going to aim for a two-stopper on this occasion. Yini with a double penalty to start from last place. Of course, he would have qualified there anyway, though he was only about a tenth of a second off the pace of others. Number of penalties in the field, Sargent all the way up in P12, right behind Max Verstappen, who's first time that we are racing nose to tail with the fastest car, the rocket ship. Perez behind us, also with a penalty. The two rocket ships starting from the back. Yini over a second behind already, but not that far off the pace. We are going to try to go aggressive and stay. I only underfueled by 1 lap. I also am opting for a soft, medium, soft two-stopper where we are aggressive throughout, trying to get the best pace out of the car as opposed to sitting back and being patient. There's a big time difference to be had with the different choices you can make in a lap here. As we see the Aston Martin of Stroll dive up the inside of Hulkenberg. And Yini passes Tsunoda. Oh, hell yeah. That's Tsunoda spun on turn 1. But still. Yini. Yini only 0.3 of a second behind Bottas, so he is staying competitive here. It is time for us to back off a little bit, as it's a much longer lap here, so even though we haven't done 2 full laps. Now, last time we went fairly well with the mediums, but here we're opting for the softs. We're doing what others have done, and so we are opting to be a bit more aggressive, and we're already seeing the impact of that. De Vries all the way down in P18, and we are challenging him. We are definitely the furthest ahead of the 6 cars that we're keeping an eye on, with 3 of them right at the back with Yini, Zhou Guanyu, just a little over a second, about a second and a half behind Sargent right now. That's the one we're going to have to watch out for, at least early days here, competitively, as somebody who might be offering a challenge. We will hover to attack as much as possible, but back off, let that temperature drop down a little bit, and then push on again, as we do have a much shorter window here with these tires and with 44 laps. Sargent still ahead of Perez at this point and challenging Piastri. Verstappen's already made his way forward, but only by a single position. We're only a few seconds behind Verstappen at this point on lap number 5. It must have been Gasly, because Gasly continued right on. Verstappen's there just 0.3 of a second behind him, and Norris had been that next one ahead of us. We had just made our way past Piastri, so Sargent currently in the points, but we are making an extra pit stop compared to others, so we are going to need this field spread to do its thing. How many teams are going to opt for the 1 stopper? How many teams are on the 2 stopper today? Stroll and Perez have gotten around Piastri, meaning Stroll is already closing us down and gets within 1 second. Loving the extra pace that we're seeing, though. This more aggressive attitude today. Tsunoda has actually not gained up any ground on Yini, and Yini has gained about a second on De Vries. Love to see the 4 competitors that we are racing head-to-head with. 5 of the drivers of the group of 6 are well behind, 16th and below, and then Sargent. Now, if he can hang on to this day, I don't expect him to hang on to this 10th. You got 2 cars right there, right with us, that are much faster, and we're already down to P11. But either way, things are going well. Things are going really well, even though we just dropped out of the points. 2 much faster cars here, but if we can ultimately hang on to something like a P12 today, all it's going to take is 1 to 2 drivers to have a problem at some point, Of course, that's going to involve drivers ahead of us, not behind us, to be the ones making that mistake. And we need Sargent to keep things clean himself, with Perez all over him right now and challenging through the final chicane, and with DRS should move ahead before turn 1 and does so. So down to P12. But I'd love to see Sargent now drive away from Piastri, drive away from Norris, stay with these guys for a little bit. Even with DRS, Perez pulled away from us. We lost 1/10 of a second with the flap open, and he didn't have it. Such is the pace difference of the Red Bull and the Williams and the drivers. Yini is the first to enter pit road. Sargent's going to enter pit road next lap. 2.435. Fairly decent stop there.
It'll be clear at pit exit.
Fastest so far, but that's because he is literally first. But only 7 seconds down. So not far behind at all on Sonoda. But what is our pace going to be like on the mediums? Find out here in a little bit. Sargent challenging Gasly a little bit, but he's definitely starting to lose pace this lap. Let's go ahead and finish full attack here for these last straightaway here. Sargent into the pits. Now, based on the time loss of Yini, I'm hoping we don't drop too far down here. It's a pretty healthy gap to Bottas. Oh, Yini has crashed.
Let's have a look as we go into
On his
the
out lap.
13th corner.
On his out lap, trying to warm the tires up.
And makes contact with the wall. Well, they may have been
Just
keen to
very
leave their
minimal
mark,
contact,
I think
but
that
how's
was
that
a
one
little
gonna...
too literal, don't you?
2.449 for Sargent. Yini's solid progress washed away just a bit there, but he only lost about 6 seconds. Only takes minor damage. Hopefully he can continue on. But Sargent, meanwhile, staying competitive here in P15, still ahead of the entire group. Our group of 6, he is still first in that group, even after that pit stop. So he's already got himself now that pit stop ahead that he'll need with one more stop coming later. And continuing to push on. Let's now drop into aggressive.
Manage tires.
Copy.
Yini loses a little bit of life. He's definitely going to be struggling a little bit later on. We won't be able to push quite as much with him. We'll kind of go neutral, back and forth for him. In fact, for now, let's ease off.
To drop back.
But Sargent, looks like we are already up to speed. Bottas also pitting, so he is going to opt for that 2-stopper. Definitely too soon for any 1-stoppers, you would think. Bottas is going to come back out in P19 unless they come out on the hards. So that's one thing we're going to want to start keeping an eye on. Bottas on mediums. Ocon into the pits. First of the front runners to do so. De Vries with a spin on turn 13. That's definitely doing us a favor. Zhou Guan Yu should be pitting soon as he's on the softs. Really surprised he hasn't already done so. Does so now. He's going to come out just ahead of Yini. So Yini, you can see, lost some ground because we were pretty close to Zhou Guan Yu before. And we've got a big crash. Russell with a penalty. So this is those cars ahead of us. Oh, it's Verstappen. Russell and Verstappen. Similar to the one we saw before, but definitely different situation on the off.
Big crash, watch out. Just remember, in the main straight might still be some debris.
So that's turn 6. That's the end of the the long straight where that happened. Norris finally pits. He's going to come out well down in P18. Sargent's already back up into P13 ahead of two cars that have not pit yet. Piastri has not pit. Gasly, Russell have not pit, and have definitely, Russell's case, been hurt. This could be good for us, especially if he's carrying some damage. Eight seconds behind Zhou Guan Yu. Sargent challenging. Oh, gets squeezed. That was a dangerous move by Piastri. As he drives across us prior to the corner. Doesn't block us. He would have hit us if we don't get out of that one. Interesting defensive driving there. But that is Verstappen behind us, so we are facing that particular challenge here. This is not to get lapped. That's really amazing. This is a battle for position. Perez, Gasly also into the pits here.
And here we've got a yellow flag.
Stroll with the spin. Again. Challenging. This time we get up the inside. We should have DRS as well. Let's push. Deploy. And yes, we do get the DRS. Excellent news. Excellent news. Sargent, P9 for the time being. But we have Verstappen just behind us here. But after that, you're talking about a net of a potential P10. Gasly, after his pit stop, is behind us. We are kind of the head of a train here, though. Hopefully Piastri can hold those guys up for a while, as he seems to be trying to stretch and make a one-stopper work. And Piastri finally dives off into the pits, having really hurt himself in terms of time frame there. Is that his one and only stop, though? 99% on softs. That's going to be a bit of a stretch to go medium soft. Verstappen's already gotten by, so Sargent's down to P10. Alonso pitting. Hamilton has not pit. Gasly has caught up. That's the worrying one. He and Hülkenberg, really, both. And are they trying to do a one-stopper? I think time frame wise, they should be on two-stoppers like myself. They're on the softs right now. They're doing a medium soft. I'm doing a soft medium soft. So they are definitely faster right now. Hamilton pits, final car to have pit in this race. Gasly's already side by side with us, and he's going to have the overtake done before the DRS zone. And he's just going to pull away even further, but we'll at least get a tow. De Vries has overtaken Yini, who is now back down to 19th, battling with the AlphaTauris, which is awesome to see. One more stop to come for him, though. How many cars are going to take that two-stopper like we are? Noda gets around Yini, so he is down to last place, but I'm just loving that he is competitive today for a change. And if others stop as well, it's going to give us a chance. Yini currently encountering being lapped, so first blue flags as Leclerc and Sainz have gone clear. The Ferraris well in control today, especially after the two Red Bulls started with penalties, started middle of the pack, started to make progress, and of course in Verstappen's case went backwards once again after the incident caused by Russell. .464, decent stop, and we're going to head back out onto the track, obviously still in last place, and immediately being overtaken by the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. And there you go. We're going to have to do some lift and coast, it looks like, to finish things up as Sargent heads down pit road himself. Relinquishing his 11th position. And he stays ahead of Piastri. Piastri will not have DRS here. Should not have DRS here. Oh, he gets it, though. He does get it. Where was that detection zone? Before Eau Rouge. So he does get it, and that leads to a potential overtake here. Maybe not. Yeah, he does get it. Once we get the tires up to temperature, we're going to have to re-overtake him. That won't necessarily be the easiest thing. He spent enough time on his fresh tires to just about gain enough ground to get back ahead of us. Not technically, as we did come out of the pit box just ahead of him. I think we should be able to get him fairly easy here, as he's quite a few laps onto those softs already. If we get that one, that puts us P13. And then what? How many other cars will pit? Are we literally the only ones going for a two-stopper? Or will there be others coming a little bit later? I did change the strategy on it a little bit. Hit the McLaren here just as I was thinking that we need to sit up and let this thing go for a little bit. He's all over the back of us. We never pulled away from him, but he decided he wanted to stick to the outside, so that's good. Okay, Yini, meanwhile, get some clean air. Needs to conserve. Got an Aston Martin behind us. Is that Alonso? Is that Stroll? Guessing it's Stroll. It is. Got Alonso ahead of us a ways. So we have been lapped by 4 cars. Not that bad, considering one VSC is all this race has had. And he's been pretty fast. Lap 38 though, and I'm very worried about the simple fact that we are, so we're getting challenged down straight here. We hold him off. Really worried about the fact that we're almost out of laps here. We have not hardly recovered fuel at all. Partially the pushing making it a lot harder to recover. We need to get out of DRS range Piastri, and we have. We have gotten Piastri out of DRS range, so we will be able to back off here shortly, but we are 12 seconds behind Russell and Hulkenberg. But again, 4 guys we're racing against are all a lap down and well behind us. Norris has now been lapped as well. Lap 44. Yini is looking like it's still possible for Sargent to get his fuel right here, but it's about holding off Piastri. You know what? We're actually 4 seconds ahead of him now, so I think we're okay. Now switching back over. Yini is 13 seconds behind Tsunoda. And nobody's pitting, by the way. So the 2-stopper idea has, really worked out well. I think it has worked out quite well for us. We have largely been faster than what we would have been otherwise. If we weren't pushing, we weren't in the position we were in. Because we're pushing, we've made gains. And while, yes, we sniffed out that P10 or P11 type result, P13 is a really strong performance for Sargent. So I'm quite pleased. Quite pleased with the progress we are making on this one. Now, not every race am I going to take it slower and just get the one race. Today we did have the sprint plus the race, so that's reasoning behind this one. I think largely, for the most part, at least until we do have our female drivers in place on the team. And even then, it could be a while before we are properly competitive with them. We'll be seeing a lot of mixed 2 race episodes, 3 race episodes, or sprint plus race episodes. It largely depends on how the race is playing out, as Yini now has a positive delta and can push on and is gaining on Sonoda. I would love to see Yini get up there and do something, as we just blue flagged our way back a couple seconds. The Aston Martin has gone around. That's Stroll having lapped him, so that's 5 cars now. He's got an 8-second gap to Verstappen and 3 laps to go. I'm hoping he can keep him at bay, and then once again start to see this close down on Sonoda, close down on De Vries. Love to see him actually beat a car. But great showing here, really good showing. And we've got 3 upgrades coming to the car soon. The car can give him so much more. The car can give Sargent so much more. So it is possible still this season to do what is necessary, be in the position that is necessary, and set ourselves up. And there you go. We are positive on Delta for Sargent. Chasing Russell, 5.5 seconds behind him. Nice full battery as well. Can we do something? Probably not. But it's looking like Sargent will keep his position on the lead lap, as Piastri just got lapped. So Piastri has now been lapped. We are the last car on the lead lap. Really nice to see Sargent keep that. It's not really our last lap though, is it? We have 2 to go. It's last lap for Leclerc, and as long as he doesn't lap us, we'll have an additional lap to go after that. Yini crosses the line, P20, but only 13 seconds down to the next car. Love to see that. Absolutely love to see that. Final lap here, though. We're not going to turn that engine up. No reason for it. 2.5 seconds behind Russell. We're not going to catch him. And there it is. Just 2 seconds down on Russell. Got awfully close to him. We were really closing him and Hulkenberg down, but Gasly was still a bit too far ahead. We were about 10 seconds behind Gasly in the end. It was not a dreadful day. That was an excellent race. But they're talking about Yini. Leclerc leading the Drivers' Championship by a fairly comfortable margin. He's nearly 3 races ahead of Perez. Verstappen finally working his way up the standings a bit with the 2 Red Bulls, 2nd and 3rd, and Sainz on top. A little bit of an opposite of what's going on in real life. But it's Ferrari at 488, 417 to Red Bull. Healthy lead, but not a huge lead, 71 points. Aston Martin, Mercedes, Alpine, Haas, McLaren, still on just 3 points for them. We remain scoreless this season, but that was a very comfortable P8 as a team today, ahead of AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo. And I'm liking where we're at regarding that. With those upgrades, we could see. And if Yini starts actually competing with some cars, if the car gets fast enough and he's getting fast enough, today could have been a one-off. Or not. We'll see. He's definitely closer than he was a couple races ago, where he was nearly 2 minutes down on the nearest car. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.